think the left's going to have to do to kind of rebuild and change things up with their messaging?
They need to grow up.
4 years.
They need to grow up and get with the program and understand that as times and things may have changed, things remain the same. James Carville, a Democratic strategist, is the economy stupid? He was famous for that quote. When you think about the economy, when you think about borders, when you think about security and safety in the streets of America, that's what people care about. The Democrats tried to get us to care about other stuff. And it's not to say that folks don't care about those things, but they don't care about those things more than they care about money and safety.
Right. Yeah.
It's Stephen A. Smith on with the Nelk Boys, and it looks like we are putting woke inside of a body bag. The Nelk Boys are very attentive here. Stephen A. Smith is out of the realm of his sports. If you don't know him, he does sports, very well known for his flamboyant style when he comments on basketball, football, and other sports from ESPN. He's telling Disney a message. This guy is the highest paid person on ESPN, the woke Disney network. And he's saying the wokeness is over. Let's hear it.
It's never going to change. And so what happens is that, they've been a bit transparent. One could easily argue. I'm not a Democrat or a Republican. I don't like either side. I think both sides need a whole lot of work.
I would like to flesh that out. We'll do some more videos with Stephen A. Smith. I'm going to have to go with what he says, but I consider him a Democrat. Let's continue on.
But in the same breath, it utterly disgusted me, when I watched, how things transpired. I was going to vote for Kamala Harris because with Trump, my attitude was he's going to be on a revenge tour, and it's going to be the same kind of chaos that existed during his first term. And I didn't think the nation needed that. But I had no problem with anybody who felt otherwise, because I saw some of the things that the Democrats were doing. You are a Republican and you're being accused of being a threat to democracy because he's an aspiring authoritarian and he wants to do X, Y, and Z. But then you're in office with your president who promised to be a one-term president, who promised to be a transitional president and just a stopgap to pave the way for a younger generation. Then the Dems win the midterms and you feeling yourself and you say, nah, I'm staying. I'm staying. Even though I'm going to be 82 if I win the election and I got to give 4 years after the age of 82. You said that shit. And then after you did that, then you turned around and what do? They grease the skids for you so there's no primary that you have to go through where you have to face any competition. Then when you show up June 27th for a debate where you look like hot garbage, they turned around and said, you got to go. So you get booted out, pushed out July 21st. They elevate the vice president, which I understood because obviously she's the vice president and what have you, and she should have been next in line, but she didn't have to go through a primary. Okay, so America is about dollars and cents, sure, but we also pride ourselves in a capitalistic society and being about competition. Well, when did they face competition? You didn't allow anybody to compete against them. You didn't allow leftists or Democratic voters to pick a choice between, you and a Dean Phillips or Marianne Williamson or whomever else was.
This is my biggest takeaway. Tell me if I'm off base here. I do have to make sure I check myself. I view Stephen A. Smith as a Democrat. I don't even know what that really means. Just a guy in that realm. So he said, I voted for Kamala Harris. And his reasoning is because Trump was going to be about revenge. So it sounds like Stephen A. Smith, he's on with the Nelk Boys. The Nelk Boys they had Trump on. I believe they went fully Trump. Correct me if I'm wrong. And he's saying, I was worried about Trump being on revenge. But what you didn't hear Stephen A. Smith say was that Trump was wrong for wanting to go on revenge. He didn't acknowledge that there's anything wrong with it. He probably just wants Trump to pretend like taking the mugshot in Atlanta for Georgia with Fannie Willis. Let's pretend that didn't happen, that they didn't make the former president take a mugshot. So that revenge is not an option after that? 4 arraignments, civil cases in New York that are complete nonsense? I'm tired of these people like Stephen A. Smith. They are getting on my nerves. They're pretending to be, I'm the reasonable one. I'm the righteous one. I'm the real independent one. Does this sound like independence to you?
It's interesting, even a Bernie Sanders or somebody that may have come into play. You didn't give an opportunity for that level of competition to exist. So because you didn't do all of that, wait a minute, that's not our democratic society. Now, you didn't violate any laws. You didn't do anything unconstitutional, but that didn't mean that you were on the up and up. It didn't mean that.
So notice what he's not saying here. This is getting on my nerves now. What he's saying is, I agree that forget about what we want in our democratic or representative republic and all that. Competition yields the best results. So if I'm going to a store and I'm going to buy a mug, I want to have options. That's competition, so my prices will be lower. I'm going to get people trying to make the best mug, even if it's not the lowest price. This thermos or mug, whatever, this coffee mug here, wasn't the cheapest, but I liked it. The color, it's Yukon. It's like a Yeti type, very quality. I'm like, this thing's going to last me for 20 years, so I'll pay more for it. They didn't have the competition in the Democratic primary. So what does that mean, Stephen A. Smith? What that means is Kamala Harris wasn't the best option. Say it. Say it with your chest.
You avoided being slick and shrewd and maneuvering your way through it. And then you turned around and tried to guilt us into voting for you. Michelle Obama, a vote for him is a vote against us as women. So it can't be a vote for somebody's wallet. It can't be a vote for somebody's safety. It's got to be about you. It's got to be about, it's a vote against women. Oprah Winfrey goes out. Well, this might be the last opportunity a woman gets a chance to vote. What? What are you talking about?
That was crazy.
What are you talking about?
She said that?
Are you telling me that women not going to be able to vote come the midterm election?
That was crazy.
In 2 years, in 4 years, they're not going to be able to vote for the presidency. What are you doing? Yeah. And so you see stuff like that, and then we think about racism, and we think about all these.
I'm going to give you my takeaway after we finish with this clip. This is a great clip. Don't go anywhere. This is going to be the takeaway after this. It's going to be about a hot topic in the news right now.
These other things, whether xenophobia, misogyny, all of these different things. And then you say, wait a minute, you kind of fueling that too.
Yeah.
You understand? I'm sitting with the three of y'all right now. Neither of y'all are black. I don't have a problem with you. So what? And guess what? I didn't vote for Trump. You voted for Trump. That's your business. You got that right as an American citizen. I'm not tripping. It's based on what you think your needs are and what you believe is in the best interest of the country. And your vision may be different than mine. And as long as you can articulate that vision and you ain't scared to do it, and you ain't some damn supremacist or something that's hating people and wishing violence upon other people, I'm good with you.
Why do you think America's lost that?
I like when he said, as long as you can articulate it. That's a very big point. I think about these things in my head. You might too, listening here. You might think about these things in your head. And if I can't articulate it, then I don't have a strong opinion on it. And not only that, I want to articulate it and I want to debate it. That's why I like X. I can articulate my point. People provide their feedback. I can test it. And I can say, I did. And I got views or whatever, likes, not for views and likes, but I got a lot of views, likes, and replies. And I got no strong retort. That doesn't mean there isn't a strong retort, but that probably means that takes pretty solid. A retort is probably a little bit more difficult than others. I like that point from Stephen A. Smith.
I think because the politicians have ruined this country. I think that they have been caught up in sustaining whatever power that they've had, that they've used the American citizens as pawns.
100%.
And have created stuff and friction where it's not there. So ultimately it became that because you have these pundits on both sides of the aisle on the air spewing nothing but negativity towards one another, along with an unwillingness to compromise, forcing us in this binary system that we live in to pick a
side. And the story after the election, this is what I'm going to end this with. The story after the election, to me, was about gender. This 2024 election was revenge of the men. And I think, and that's what you're seeing. Eric Adams, mayor of New York, recently said, I'm going to work with Tom Homan on immigration. He recently said, I support Daniel Penny, who had to yoke somebody in a subway, famously, under trial, jury right now, deliberations. Eric Adams spoke out in favor of him. What we're seeing is a masculine energy that's nothing to be against women. Don't rush up and say, oh, no, you hate women. That's not the case. What we are seeing, though, are more men. Just did a video on Charlemagne the God. This is Stephen A. Smith. This is the Nelk Boys. We're seeing men coming up, and we are seeing men say, this is what we want in our society. It's not all about this. Kamala ran basically on reproductive rights. It's men saying, no matter what side you fall on that's what he just said in this clip. It's not all about that. It's okay if it's a man and the man's like, I vote because of taxes. That's where he's going with this. Maybe I think this person will lower taxes or not. If that's what you vote on, that's what you vote on. If you want to vote for reproductive, whichever side, you can do that too. But I think this country is going to be saved by not just men, the proper balance between masculine energy and feminine energy. And we've had a ton of feminine energy. Kamala Harris ran. She wasn't the best candidate. And I think her loss was a rebuke against too much feminine energy. Even though she didn't even mention, I'm going to be a boss queen, or like Hillary did, I'm going to be the first woman and all that. Kamala didn't even run on that. I'm not saying that. But she had feminine energy. She did run on reproductive. They couldn't stop talking about it. I remember looking at the TV. I'm telling my wife, like, is there anything else that they care about? It's not that I don't care about that. Stephen A. said the same thing. Not that I don't care about that. There's other topics. Let me know what you think, man. This is a reckoning right here. This is the end of the woke, I think. Let me know.
The next clip is ready below. Welcome to After Show Carnage.